Hello everybody and welcome to another video. I am building a cove, a beach, pirate beach town thing today. I'm kind of unsure as to what this actually would be classed as, but it is going to be our little pirate town by the name of Burnwood. Now there is a little bit of lore behind that I eventually put into it. Um, the actual lore is I disappeared over somewhere and started burning part of a forest and called it Burnwood. I then went through a nether portal, yes, for a nether portal one day, and appeared at this place and realized that it wasn't actually that far away from the place that I had been burning the forest. So that's why this place ended up. It was originally going to be just be called Burnwood Town, and I was just going to do like a weird little town in like a weird burnt out area. But then I thought, actually, never mind. We're going to build a pirate place here instead. And along the pirate theme of that, I ended up building these little chests with gold. Because this now is the town of Burnwood. And then in a bit, I will tell you guys what I ended up changing the lore to, or like the in-game lore that I've given it. But for now, I'm just going to kind of run you through some of the things that I built. So obviously, there's these chests. The chests were really easy to make. It is literally just a block of, I think it's solid raw gold, or a solid block of raw gold, or something along the lines of that. It actually says it at the beginning of this video, and then I just used a bunch of trapdoors to create the chest around it. You'll see this on a lot of people's tutorials if they're building pirate places, because let's be real, it's probably the most simple thing that you can do to signify a pirate thing. It's a chest with gold in it. It's just easy, and that's why I did it. I actually ended up dotting a couple of these around. I think I put them around some of the little pirate stalls. I actually quite liked the pirate stalls. So the idea behind the roof on that is it's meant to have been made out of the sail of the ship. These are pirates that have previously been pirates, and then they decided to stay here on land. And as I said, I will later on go into that, but we'll figure it all out later. Like, I can't be bothered to write down all of the lore for everywhere, so I'm just kind of like dabbling little bits here and there. So then when I am writing it down, I can just watch the videos and kind of rekindle ideas. We are going to end up with a lore library somewhere, so it's all going to be written down somewhere. I just need to figure out where that's going to be, and we need a little bit more of the world to have some lore, I think. I personally think that is enough of the deeper things in this world. For now, let's just get into some tent building. So, obviously, I did mention that these are going to be pirates that decided to stay here. So, for now, I just decided to build these little kind of tents. They are extremely easy to build. I think I actually learned how to build these from a tutorial, but it was so many years ago. And I think back then, the only things we could really build out of was the wooden slabs and the wooden stairs. So they look very different now to what I used to build. It's kind of crazy to think how far Minecraft has come. There are so many different types of mobs in it now. There's so many different types of blocks. I no longer know my way around the block tab. I have no idea what it's called, but I'm just going to call it the block tab. Yeah, I have no idea how to go around it and where everything is now because they've just added so many things to the game since I last played. I'm actually really enjoying like finding the newer blocks and kind of having fresh things to be able to build with. It's nice to have huts that aren't made out of wood because I used to build a lot of huts that were either dirt, wood, or stone because that was kind of not really the only thing that you could use, but it was kind of the only really thing that I really had any interest in using. I was mainly playing in survival, so it was kind of the only things I really farmed up. I found a lot of armors and stuff like that, and I didn't really go into like the customization of my world as much. It was just kind of getting through the game. I built bases and stuff. They just weren't very creative. So I'm having a lot of fun now going through and kind of just letting my imagination go wild. It would be interesting to see how this would do in a survival world. I might try and turn it into a survival world one day and just see how it goes. Maybe that can be written in the lore library, and we'll see how far I get. I know in some of my previous videos I have been making some more intricate things like the planes. I've been following a lot of tutorials for them, but for the things that I'm building by myself, they're going to be quite basic to begin with. I'm still kind of getting used to the blocks, as I've mentioned. And then once I'm used to the blocks, and once I'm kind of more comfortable with like redstone and stuff like that, yeah, my builds should hopefully start to pick up. We should be looking at some better places, and eventually I will kind of not rebuild these towns and stuff, but I'll rebuild these kind of ideas in different places so that we can kind of compare how I started and then how I am at that time. If I'm being 100% honest, I'm only really using the tutorials for ideas for textures, because I mean I'm not the greatest at like going, oh yeah, this looks like da da da. So by building the Spitfire, I now know that these blocks exist, so therefore I can look at them and go, well, I could use them for a tent, or I could use them for this, or so that's why I'm using this tutorial, is kind of more to find the new blocks, and also I get to learn how to make a cool plane, and I mean that's a win-win situation for me, so that's why I've been building tutorial things, but for now, on this video, everything that I'm building is just off of the dome. And I'm kind of having a bit more fun doing this now because when I first came into the game, I'm not gonna lie, I did think to myself, like, what am I actually going to build? Because I didn't really believe that I would be able to pull most of this off. And now I'm kind of a couple videos in, and I'm feeling a little bit more confident in myself, and I'm feeling a little bit more confident in the world. And yeah, I kind of feel like I've got a bit of steam behind me now. I've got a couple of fresh ideas popping into head, and I'm just making notes of them as I go along, and just kind of marking off places for future builds. I actually have a place marked off for my Dwarven City. I have a place marked off for my Wizard's Castle. I'm gonna have a couple of Wizard's Castles, but I have a place. I actually can't remember where either of those places are. They are either miles away or they are just. I went through a chain of nether portals to get to them, and I've just forgotten the route. But one way or another, those things are going to be built in those places when I eventually find them again. I actually have the location, I have a screenshot of the coordinates for most of the places that I've been putting beacons. So, yeah, I shouldn't have much trouble finding them. It just might be a bit of a journey. Obviously, we can't just leave it with just the two tents in the town, so I do end up just quickly building as many tents as I could fit. I do just build a couple that are pretty much exactly the same, but just in different colors and different textures and whatnot. And then I end up kind of changing a couple of them. I believe I built a double tent, and that was kind of cool. And I'm trying to think if I built any other ones, but also I'm recording my voice on it. I can't actually think. This one here, it begins as a singular tent, and then I ended up extending this one. This is the one that becomes the double tent. This is more of a kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a meeting area or something. I don't know. I've obviously put beds and stuff in everything now, but everything's kind of subject to change in these builds. As you literally see, I just put a bed into this one and then went, "Do you know what? Actually, I think it would look better if I made this into a double tent." So this actually does end up having two beds in it, and it is turned into a living quarters for now. But I'm thinking maybe a meeting room or something along those lines might actually be a bit better. So with a couple more tents built, I actually decided to go to the next day and just have a quick look around. This is where I started filling the tents. So I actually just kept it extremely simple at this point, just putting these three items into it. Sorry, four items. We obviously got the cartography table, we've got the crafting table, the barrel, and the chest. I was just going to put it as a mixture of the four, and then there ends up being a barrel in every single one because I did this in the first tent, and I was like, do you know what? I actually really like that idea. So that ends up becoming the standard in these tents. It kind of makes sense because they're pirates, so they always want their rum on hand. So I don't know. I just kind of thought barrels everywhere. But then I ended up replacing this one here with a chest because I ended up feeling like that was too much barrels in here. But yeah, most of the tents are pretty much exactly the same. At this point, I ended up experimenting to see if I could turn the table around. Unfortunately, I couldn't, so that earth is on the corner there. You can't even put them both together to make it look like one big planet, but it's all good. We're working to the limitations of the game, so this moment I actually did swap that there, and we just chucked something here. I believe there is another chest. There we go. Um, Obviously, during the day, I worked on the interior. On the night, I decided to work on the exterior. So I just quickly ran around and put down these fence panels to make them look like pegs. So these are kind of holding the tents into the floor. And then we've got the lanterns on the top just to kind of light up the areas. Obviously, if I do eventually turn this into a survival world, I don't really want like mobs and stuff spawning within my city or within my towns. So at least it gives us a little bit of time to just kind of fight them off if I needed to. Whilst I had the lanterns selected, I did actually just run around and drop a couple of lanterns into the interior of the tent, and then that was pretty much it for them. So, yeah, there's not really much else to do with these, to be honest. So I started putting in a dirt path just to kind of connect everything up. This also is going to be edited over time. It's just a very quick kind of marking to signify to me where I want the path to be. And then, yeah, although to be honest, I don't think it looks too bad at the moment. I'm thinking about potentially adding a couple of stones and a couple of cobblestones and a couple of buttons just here and there just to kind of texture it out a little bit. But apart from that, I think it looks okay. I almost completely forgot that we were putting this in the video, but this is another thing that I built. It is obviously a giant campfire. I'm going to change a couple of the bottom bits into steps and planks so that it just kind of bulks it out a little bit. But this is a giant campfire so that the pirates can feed themselves. I used a little bit of wood that looks like meat. Don't ask me why it looks like meat, but it does. We're not here to question things. We're literally just here to use the things that look like what we want them to look like. I wouldn't really want to try eating it. So, I mean, if you guys want to try it, then you're before me in the queue. Take your place, but let me know what it tastes like. I think now would be the perfect time to go into the lore a little bit because now is kind of where I was coming up with it. I actually came up with this idea of having a pirate captain that was buried here, hence why the pirates decided to settle. I figured that the interior of here kind of already looks like a burial site, and then I used this grave from the grave add-on pack that I got, just to kind of add a little bit more lore here and a little bit of decoration. I do actually end up writing very quickly on the walls what is going on here. I was just going to write a little thing on the middle here, but then I ended up writing on all three walls. To be honest, it just kind of seemed fitting for a pirate captain. So we ended up putting the last resting place of the captain, RIP Captain Burnwood, which is where the name of the town comes from in game. And obviously, an oath was made to make Burnwood Town in memory of a brilliant captain. Is the kind of idea that I was running with at this point. And to be honest, I think it's probably one of the weirdest things that I've done, but it's also kind of cool. And then for the rest of stream, I was landscaping. I literally blew up the surrounding area and filled it with sand. It took quite a while to do. I actually ended up streaming for about 3 hours, and I think I was only building Burnwood for about an hour. So, you do the maths there. I did a lot more landscaping than I did building, which is not really how I wanted it to be, but it is what it is. I had to go a couple of times and change the weather because it kept raining. I guess this must be England of Paradoxia. The people that joined live actually watched me do all that work, and they didn't even get to see the end result. So this is Burnwood, the town where the pirate captain is buried. We're going to add some pirates to it eventually. This is obviously the barbecue kind of cook area. We have the living quarters. This is kind of going to be where all of the people are going to live. But I'm going to add some more tents around here, maybe add a couple of tree houses towards where it's forested. Add a couple more tents around this area here. This is going to be a little bit like a little meeting spot, the gold, and this is going to be like a little work spot where the skull is. That is actually a functioning house, and the eyes are built out of coal and diamonds. And then the hut right next to it, that's got some blast furnaces, and this is a little store. The anchor here, that's going to be working as a compass. I'm going to move this little house over towards the left towards the right, sorry. And yeah, this pirate area is going to take up the entirety of this sand area. So if anyone has any ideas, just let me know. I'm going to be putting a ship where that beacon is. And yeah, that's pretty much the video today. So thank you for joining me. Keep being awesome, and I will see you in the next one.